I found myself an MP, but before that, I had been wanting a woman as the speaker because I thought it had a tremendous significance of change. But I had someone else in mind, and I had discussed it. I won't mention names now. And I was not aware that Mr. Mandela had already decided that I should be the speaker. And he had been campaigning on my behalf. And when he announced the first cabinet, some of us were horrified that there were not more women. So I spoke to him on the phone. I said, how could you do this to us? And he went on the offensive. He said, people like you don't do. He says, I want you a speaker there. And I said, leave me aside. He said, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about your first cabinet, you see. And I realized I now had a serious problem. But you can't say no to, but we had a caucus meeting the night before. And Thabo Mbeki came to me and said, now, are you going to accept? Because we are going to nominate you. And I think I realized then that if the leadership was nominating me and I said no, I was unnecessarily creating an issue. So I said yes. When another candidate stood, I was delighted. I never wanted to lose. Well, it was the only election I was in, but I was hoping that I would lose it. But in fact, I did win the caucus thing, which I could be reassured of support from the ANC generally. So that was it. But after being, when I sat there, we took the oath, and I sat there, and I saw 10 people coming up. And that for me was one of the most emotional moments, because you saw the most representative group, these 10 people. Most of the women had dressed in traditional clothes, and so on. And you saw them come up. And the contrast with all the other parties, there were 6 political parties then, that made me say, it is changing, really. But afterwards I realized it was a tremendous opportunity not because I was speaker, but even being in that parliament, because that parliament had all the sort of ritual of parliament, and none of the content. So we had to change everything. And I said, everything is a blank sheet. We write no traditions, no rituals, we will do our own thing. And to make sure that that worked, I had every 2 weeks, I met with the chief whips of every party. I gave them lunch so that we sat down, any things that I was thinking about, any things they were thinking about. It was an informal discussion, just to make sure that we were all working together. Now, Mr. Mandela had told me, I asked him, I said, now you want me to go there, what is it you want me to do? He said, very simply, you run parliament the way we ran negotiations. And I had to think about it. And I realized, one, it was totally inclusive. Nobody was excluded from the negotiations. Everybody believed they were going to win. But whether it was a small party, a big party, everybody was there. So I said, that is the important thing. So I've got to make sure. Secondly, I thought we have to get buy-in from the population for this new parliament. So I asked the chief whip of the ANC, because the ANC members had taken their seats, and they were on all over the place, and people were sitting on the front benches. Now, I said, no, if this is the first time it's going to be watched by the people, there was going to be television, but it would be watched. So we need the leaders of all the political parties on the front bench. So I asked the chief whip, please, I want you to vacate and give me, because we had a 60-odd% majority, so they were way over half. I said, I want 3, 4 front benches, please. And I explained to him why. And what he did with the members he removed, I don't know. But he understood the reasons. So when Parliament, President Mandela addressed the first Parliament, because before that we were just there as having been sworn in, they could look and see Constant Viljoen, the leader of the Afrikaner, sitting on a front bench. There was a government of national unity, so Chief Buthelezi was there, National Party was there, you know, so all of these people were there, except one party that had only 2 members. There was no way I could give them a front bench seats. But behind all of those were all ANC members sitting behind all the political leaders. And that remained afterwards. It was important because it did, people were saying, oh, there's so-and-so, that's my leader. They bought that because it was a visual image without propaganda as such.